If I can't leave something be for a full 24 hours, then I have to ask myself, am I creating an unhealthy dependency?
I'm not sure that would work for everyone, but it was just something that I thought, what do I have to lose? Why not give it a shot?
It's such a self-care process, because to care for ourselves is to understand that life itself, this amazing adventure that we're on, is all about learning. Every moment.
I need to have like that type of full sensory deprivation.
That spiral of negative thinking, once your nutritional intake is at its optimal, begins to slow itself down too.
Those who laugh more, like just the quality of life, just even Google how laughter changes your just life quality.
And brain chemistry.
And brain chemistry. It's amazing.
Well, you know, when we were talking before about having a starter kit, right? It's all about having those little packets to just reach in and go to. And I find with self-care, it's the same. I have to have a starter kit or like a self-care toolkit of some sort that I can go back to over and over again. Because when you're in the middle of a day, and we've had a couple of them recently, right? Because as we're growing as an organization and we're launching more things and we're both so busy and so many things are kind of loading into our day, when we stop to think about self-care, it's like, ugh, do I really have time for self-care? And we have to take it, right? Because if we don't, then we're not going to have what we need as far as mental strength, physical strength, emotional strength. But if we have that self-care kit, that true little go-to pack where it's like, okay, this takes 5 minutes. I can take 5 minutes for myself. Or this takes 10 minutes. I can work that in between here and there. Maybe I do it in my car, driving to the next thing. And I know that that's just part of this kit. Then I'm good to go. And I know that I've done something to really nourish myself from the inside out. And it keeps me from being as hard on myself and probably as hard on you as I could have been otherwise. So I think it's really important to have these little go-tos.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit last time about self-compassion and exercises for that. Now these are self-care and there is a slight difference, but they do go hand in hand. And there is part of having self-compassion is recognizing when you need self-care. Because again, like we were discussing, it's easy to want to just kind of see the people around you and be like, okay, well, what do you need? How do I help you? And be there for someone and then help them have self-care. It's like, you know, it kind of lifts you up and it makes you feel really good and it's nice, but sometimes we forget about that aspect of ourselves. And so that's where having this toolkit is kind of like, okay, I'm good with self-care. That sounds interesting. And I know I need it like on an internal soul level, but where do I even start? You know, is it champagne and bubble baths? Is it, you know, a day at the spa? Is it going golfing, you know, with your friends? Like, hey, these are great things, and those are things you can enjoy. But what we're going to kind of talk about are 10 actual, like real in-depth practices that are kind of like, as you're saying, your go-to, that can really pull that self-compassion and enhance that so that your self-care and your self-compassion kind of really just snowball together.
So the top 10 list
yes,
for
top
self-care.
10 list for self-care. There we go.
So, and it's like, it just, maybe these won't be your top 10, right? Maybe you're going to choose 3 out of this 10 self-care tips, right?
Exactly.
But then it'll be your top 3. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
3. I can do it. I'm just all about the peeps, right? So you have to find what's right for you. And we say that all the time. But for us, having these 10, got it right. I do math and science. Just really helps. And I will say, like, my go-to is always going to be my number 1, which is meditation. Mm-hmm. Meditation is a core staple for me. And there are so many different ways to meditate that it takes any excuse that I might have of I don't have time out of my repertoire, right? Because yes, maybe I don't have time to do an in-depth meditation or a guided meditation, but I can do a sensory meditation anywhere I am, right? And that's self-care because it's engaging my body. So if I'm sitting in a meeting and I don't need to actively participate in that moment, like those 5 minutes have absolutely nothing to do with me, then I can take those 5 minutes and I can engage my senses and I can focus on my sight for 1 minute and just actively take in through a meditation everything I can see. Like look around and just notice the visuals, the texture in your chair, because it's like my chair, or the texture and the color of a microphone. Mm-hmm. And then for the next 60 seconds, what all do I hear? Every sound. What all do I smell? Do I enjoy every smell that I smell, kind of thing? And then start to feel the textures of the fabric of my clothes. So I start to heighten all of those senses and become sensory aware of my environment, understanding how it triggers me and what it's doing to me. And that really begins to help me so that when I transition into new and different settings, I become sensory aware of how environments are impacting me. So meditation is a great way to have self-care, and we can do it anywhere.
I agree. And I know it's cliche, but meditation is all about being in the present, and who doesn't like a gift? Right. Yay! And so now you're gifting yourself, a gift in any now moment, because a lot of our worries and our stress and our struggles in life are because we're thinking of the past or thinking of the future. And so the reality of what meditation is all about is bringing you into the present moment. For most of us, when we're in the present moment, that's not when we're actively experiencing something that's negative. Usually, right? Usually it's we're projecting that or going in the past. And so when you feel that present moment, you can be in it and you can feel things like gratitude or love or connection or just calm. Like maybe in a day that just is all over the place and it feels like chaos and stress, and like gifting yourself a couple moments of being present where it's like, okay, I'm just centered and I'm balanced and I'm feeling that. That could be an incredible reprieve that can feel like a gift. And so when we can add that to our repertoire, and you can even place it in things like, okay, if you do like bubble baths, for example, and you do like having a champagne, fine. Then add, like you were saying, like a body scan meditation inside the bubble bath, or a sensory meditation inside the bubble bath. So you're bringing more intention and purpose into it, because sometimes, like when we start doing those things in self-care, they don't feel fulfilling. They feel like you're just kind of, again, it's almost like a platitude in a way. And so it's just, this is a way to just bring intention and purpose in greater depth into actions.
Yeah. So what's the second tool?
Daily journaling. Yes. And this one is great. Full transparency, I'm a little lax on this myself. It used to be something I did constantly. I even had a really great book that, went through it a couple times, and And it was just a great tool. And I would say it right now, but I'm blanking on the name of it. But the way it was set up is it had like a morning gratitude, um, 3 spaces for gratitude. It had a way to set up your schedule for the day. Then it had a section for things like what were your wins today? What do you desire to experience? And at the end of the day, it was kind of like a what did you actually accomplish? And then 3 lines for gratitude for evening gratitude. And so it was a great structure. Now, daily journaling doesn't have to be that at all. If you just have a piece of paper and a pen and you just want to free write and just kind of put your thoughts or your feelings on a paper, that's beautiful. If you want to type it, that's beautiful. If you want to record it as a voice memo to yourself, that's beautiful. So there are 1,000 different ways to do this. But again, it's bringing intention and purpose into it, and it's helping you reflect and understand where you are, why you are, how you are, and where you desire to be.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you bring up that there are so many different ways to do it. Because again, we make all of these different reasons why we can't journal during the course of our day, right? It's like, I don't have the time to sit and write out on that paper. But you took away the excuse when you said, I can just hit voice memo on my phone and do a daily journal by talking to myself, by just expressing what is going on in my day. And so it's a voice memo journal. And just by being able to do that, by being able to speak out what is going on inside of me, there is such a power in that, because you're getting out your emotions, you're getting out what is going on so that you can be the observer. And we talk about that so much, because once you can get it out and observe it, however it is, then you can make different choices about it. But when it's bouncing around inside of you and that critic can get a hold of it and use it in a way where it's like, I'm just going to seize that power and I'm going to morph it into what I want, then it takes on a whole different meaning. Outside of journaling, then we move on to being incredibly physically aware, right? And making no excuses where that's concerned, because physical exercise is very much in the realm of self-care. And it isn't like we have to make it to the gym every day or go somewhere where we can do a strenuous workout. Easy for my mouth to say, that's a strenuous workout. But as long as we're doing something to get our body moving, to exercise in some way. Maybe it's that we choose to take the stairs instead of just taking the elevator each and every time, or we go and take a walk around wherever we live so that we can get outside and be in connection with nature. But in some way, a form of self-care is to get our bodies moving and acknowledge that they need our focus too, that these forms are part of who we are in a way. They are not who we are, but they are a part of who we are, because they're helping us move through this reality, this existence that we're experiencing. So let's spend some time taking care of them and showing them care as well. And I know traveling and being busy at work or taking care of families or whatever we do, like life is just coming at us fast, right? So it's really, really easy to say, I don't have time to get out and get moving. We sit at computers a lot when we're not out doing things or when we're not doing this. And it's really, really easy to get so mind focused on what we're doing and get lost in whether we're writing or we're editing or something along those lines. And then we look and the whole day is passed and it's like, what just happened? Then all we want to do is make dinner and spend time together. But we have to be willing to push ourselves and say, okay, but let's go on a walk when we spend time together. Let's take that 5 minutes to just walk around our block. And that in itself is a huge act of self-care.
I agree. I like that, because oftentimes it's tough when people, especially with families, like, well, how do I do that? And so being able to integrate maybe exercise with family activities, whether it's all going on a bike ride, or you're saying all going on a walk, or take the dog out, or go to a park, or um, play a sport together, like pickleball or something like that. Just something that it can be also fun. It can be engaging. It can be connected. It can be a way for everyone to spend time together, and also get you the exercise. And so, sometimes it may be like, oh, well, is that efficiency? Sure. But it's also really heartfelt. It's also very loving. It's also a way to just all spend time together. And so I think when we can kind of do all of that together, like, I love when we go on our walks. It feels nice to just, especially after a meal and it's a little bit cooler at night or something like that, we can just kind of go on a walk. It's like our romantic time together. We get to just enjoy. We get to see the sunset or the stars, depending on when we go out. And it's just a really, really beautiful time. And we get to walk Bruce, and it's just like, yeah, we're getting our bodies moving, especially after a long day behind a computer or recording or something like that. And it's just a nice way to just feel present and to feel connected, but also just, get the bodies are meant to be moved.
Yes.
Really
And
are.
Bruce is our bulldog, by
Yes.
the way.
Yeah.
We're not, I want to be very clear on that.
Thank you for that, Claire.
Clarity of communication is everything.
Yes. We are lovingly walking our dog. Yes. To be very, very clear. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
All right. So what's the next tool in our self-care toolkit?
Healthy nutrition.
Yes.
And this is a relative term. We're not going to sit here and preach that one specific diet is perfect for everyone, because that's just, none of us, we're all so different, right? That's the reality. And so I don't know if there's one thing that would fit for everyone. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think it ever has. I don't think it ever will, my opinion. But so what is healthy? What does that mean? And I think there are ways that we can help define that. And that's what makes you feel good. Like, when you eat something, do you feel sluggish after? Do you feel like you're not able to concentrate? Do you feel like you've just lost energy? Do you get a headache? Do you feel like your stomach bloats? These are not great things, compared to other foods. When you have a food, do you feel kind of energized and focused, and it helps kind of feel the confidence, and you feel light and bright and connected and like ready to go? Well, maybe that might be what health is for you. However, whatever food you put in your body that makes sense and helps you feel your best. We subscribe to a specific approach that is best for us, but that's really what we're focusing on. In a daily journal, like to kind of integrate, that could be something. If you're unsure, start to kind of write. After you eat something, it's just a great place. Like, hey, I just ate this, and within the next 10 to 20 minutes, I felt like I was a little bloated, or I felt like I was tired, or hey, I felt really energized and I felt ready for my next thing. That will really help you kind of just find out what is healthy for your body. And it's a way of just recognizing, yeah, I'm listening to my body. I'm listening to what's really good for me. And that helps pull the best out of me.
Yes. And being willing to know, as you said, to not attempt to shoehorn yourself into something that fits for your significant other or your best friend or whomever, because your body is unique unto you, and it isn't necessarily going to match identically to what someone else is finding valuable for them. And so your recommendation of tracking, right? Track it with that journal so that you know what self-care nutritionally looks like for you. It is one of the number one things that a nutritionist is going to recommend that you do. Keep a food journal, at least for a week, so you know what that food is doing to your body specifically. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take to eat, but what one is the best for you is the question you need to start asking yourself, and being willing through a self-care approach to dedicate that little bit of time after you eat to pay attention and go, oh, wait, this is what happens to my body when I eat that. Can really make a huge impact in your energy level, your overall health and wellness. Like this one moves up the charts if you're really starting to feel things that you don't enjoy, like sluggish or tired at the end of the day, or as you said, bloated. Man, that bloated feeling so many of us feel, and it's not fun. So find out what's making you feel bloated and limit it or eliminate it. Find an alternative that's equally as good. Great self-care practice.
Absolutely. And what times? Like what time of the day? Like, or does fasting in the morning help me? Or, hey, I feel better when I eat first thing when I wake up. I mean, there's so many different things like, oh, I feel better when I eat earlier than later, because then it gives my body time to digest before I go to sleep. And then that way I wake up more refreshed in the morning. Sure. But everyone's body is different. So I think you're spot on with that. I think it's a untapped self-care. I don't think people I definitely didn't put it in the realm of self-care at all. For me, I either ate for exercise purposes or I ate for pleasure. It really wasn't anything. It was kind of one or the other. And now I feel like I have a much better understanding of recognizing the self-care aspect. And like the diet that I choose for me personally is like, I desire to have more compassion. And so I chose a diet that kind of, for me, facilitates that type of compassion at all levels of self. And it's non-judgment on anything or anyone else and anyone else's choices. It's just my own. And so it's like, okay, I know who I want to be and what I want to be and why I want to be that. And so for me, it's really important when all of my actions reflect that as best as I possibly can.
Yes. And ultimately, once you identify all of these parts of your flow from a nutrition standpoint, you begin to understand how your nutrition actually feeds into the inner critic too, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't think about it from a self-care standpoint, and you also don't think about how your sugar intake begins to impact your brain and how your brain functions and how it impacts your thoughts. And so when you start to align that nutrition and sugar or carbohydrates or any of these things, and for some people, it doesn't bother them. For some people, it greatly bothers them. For other people, it could be a number of different things, but you begin to put these things together and you notice that spiral of negative thinking, once your nutritional intake is at its optimal, begins to slow itself down too, because it's easier, you feel better, and so it's easier to focus on having a more positive mental framework because you're not fighting the nutrition in your body and attempting to balance that out. So it is so key. It's like a puzzle that we're putting together, but since everyone is their own puzzle in their own way, and they're also a piece of the greater puzzle, it's like, okay, we have to put our own puzzle together first, and then figure out how we're a piece of the bigger puzzle once our puzzle is put together. So it's like this whole fun thing, right? It's so fun, which is what feeds into the next little tool, which is creative expression, right? When we think of ourselves as this fun little puzzle that we get to put together, it's like, all right, so what is it that we desire to express in our own puzzle? What are we as a unique being, and how do we creatively express that? Now, when we say creative expression, a lot of times we immediately go to art or music somehow. And so many of us do enjoy that as creative expression, but not all of us. And I, for one, I really, really enjoy science. I mean, I really enjoy science. And so when I found myself like, okay, who am I and how do I desire to creatively express that? Well, a lot of my creative expression is through experimentation. Experimentation is a creative expression. It allows us to look within ourselves even and say, how can I test my own awareness and understand who I am through creative expression and testing my own limits and my own boundaries. And I might want some data around that. And I may desire to apply some scientific methods around that so that then I can share it with others who may desire to take that and build upon it. And so there's all of this amazing expression that we can begin to look within, as long as we don't just say, nope, this is a box for creative expression and this is a box for creative expression. Because the whole point of creative expression is to break the box and just be creative in who we are. And so self-care is being willing to say, I look at me and I know how I desire to be creative within myself to express who I am and be the piece of the puzzle that I am.
I love that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. I'm Austin, co-host here at the Heart Leader Podcast with Amber. And if you haven't already, please take a quick moment to like and subscribe below. It helps us know we're making amazing content that you enjoy. And thank you for your support. We'll see you in the community. Back to the show. You're so right. It is, and the beauty of creative expression is that there is, as you're saying, there is no limit. So look, if it is painting or music, which is when we think of creative arts, for example, like that's immediately kind of what comes to mind. Beautiful, amazing, go for it. But you can also be creative in sports or in science or in just walking. Like, there's so many things that you can explore your creativity, and I feel like that's the whole point. And a lot of people say, well, you don't want logic and creativity, it takes away. I don't know about that. I mean, sometimes it's really, as you're saying, it's important. And maybe true, real, authentic creativity could be a balance of it. There's no limit. So why put it in a box if there's no logic and creativity? You might really want to have that so you can understand the framework and then understand how you can break through that framework and create something new. And that's how we evolve. That's how we expand. That's how we grow. And so, I feel like any expression that makes sense, that allows you to feel like you can be creative in business. If you want to start another side hustle, for example, and just have more money, but maybe money isn't your thing. Maybe it's like, okay, maybe that's a byproduct. Maybe it's like, you know what, I just really want to, sell these awesome t-shirts, and just the idea of like building the business, like that's my creative flow. And it helps me expand and grow. Like, that's cool. Like there's so many ways to be creative.
Yeah, I love that. I love the side hustle.
And who knows, sometimes side hustles, quote unquote, end up becoming a career. So there have been a lot of people out there who are doing something something they loved as a hobby, and then ended up becoming something that they became really, really good at because they loved it. And it became their main source of income. And that's a beautiful thing. So why limit ourselves? That's part of the creative expression. It's a way for us to tap into who we are and understand who we are.
Yeah, 100%. Next tool
is, I realize the irony of this tool is digital detox. And yes, we know that we are talking to you through a digital device and you're connecting with us through a digital device. So yes, but it is important that we do have this type of detox, because it's really easy to get, we're so reliant these days on technology, on having these devices. It's like, I'm sure a lot of us has felt like when we don't have our phone, we almost feel like naked, and we're like, what a part of me is missing. Maybe a good time, and trust me, I know this, maybe a good time to do a digital detox. Or if we find ourselves scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, constantly hours and hours a day, it's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe I need a digital detox. And so it's just good. It's about balance. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Whatever is best for each individual, just like we were talking about nutrition, we can kind of apply that same principle to it. And so there's so much you can learn and grow and benefit from with technology. So we're not making it evil by any way, any stretch. It can be absolutely beautiful. But if we do have a reliance or an external, like we need it for external validation, or it's directing our actions and we're becoming unconscious and becoming reliant on it for our happiness or things like that, then that might be an opportunity to just take a step back and say, well, yeah, let me take a little detox this weekend and step away from the social media or my phone, or just, maybe I go on a retreat, or maybe I go camping, or, so there's a lot of ways to do it. There's no right way. And maybe it's even just take a couple hours and, go on a walk or go on an exercise or go journal or use any of these other great practices to just step away.
Yeah. And one of the things that I learned in my studies, and I have found to be true for me. Now, everyone has their own unique approach, but I found it to be very helpful for me. If I can't leave something be for a full 24 hours, then I have to ask myself, am I creating an unhealthy dependency on this item? And it's one of the things I ask myself about my digital devices all of the time. If I can't walk away from a digital device, whether that's watching television or my cell phone or my computer, now, because of the form we work in, it has to be planned sometimes if it's a computer or cell phone. But still, if I can plan it and tell people I'm going to be away for 24 hours, and then I find that I'm the one jonesing to get back to my social media, or I'm the one who's jonesing to get back to just watch TV, I can't be away from my show, then I'm the one who needs to understand the unhealthy dependency I might be creating on these devices and on these programs. So that helps me understand my own self-care and what I need to do in order to create a healthy boundary with these devices, with the programs that are on the devices, and how I can help myself through the process. So, it's going to be, everybody has to figure out what their timeline is. But for me, I set it at that 24-hour mark. If I can't go one day without them, then what am I doing? Right?
Yes. That's very good advice. I like that. Probably applicable in many aspects, but definitely great advice.
Yeah. So we're up to number 7.
Yeah.
Quality sleep. Right? So this is incredibly important because our body goes through the rest and repair mode when we're sleeping. Anything that we need to heal, to recover, it's a lot more likely that the body is going to tend to it when we're sleeping than it is when we're awake and we need to be moving and things are functioning. Some healing is going to happen then, but so much more of it is going to happen when we're sleeping. And so we need to get quality sleep so that we have the energy in order to do all that healing at night. Plus, we have the energy to make it through our day. And if we don't create an atmosphere where we can get that quality sleep, then we're pulling away from our effectiveness and we're pulling away from our healing. And so there's a number of ways to do that. We can really be mindful of our environment and what's going on in our environment. Like, is it dark enough for us? Is it a good temperature for us to sleep? Which is where we ended up having to get a mattress that helps us balance that out, so that you could be comfortable and I could be comfortable, because we don't all sleep at the same temperature. But is it quiet enough for you? Do you need ambient sound? Do you not need ambient sound? Check your environment first and foremost, and then get into a routine where it is consistent every night. So it cues to your body and your brain, like, okay, this is what I do right before I go to bed, at least 15 minutes, so that the body kind of goes, oh yeah, maybe it's washing your face and brushing your teeth, but maybe it's not checking your digital device right before you go to sleep, right? It's going to get your mind active again. But it could be that you do a 5-minute meditation, a gratitude meditation for everything that happened during your day. And all of that starts to calm your body down, so that when you lay down, you actually fall asleep and you stay asleep. And when we go back to the nutrition aspect of it, your body has difficulty digesting things when it's attempting to sleep. And so you don't want it to be active. Maybe stop eating at least 2 hours before bed, so you're not putting your body through that. And stop drinking 2 hours before bed, so you're not putting your body through having to get up in the middle of the night. It's not always going to be possible, but these are things that help with the quality of sleep and self-care.
Definitely. I love that. I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that we spend a decent portion of our lives asleep. And so when we have that awareness, then we can say, yeah, it's important. We need to invest the time and money into making sure we are well set up for quality sleep. I remember one of the things that you provided for me was binaural beats and frequency focused music. And when I was really struggling with sleep, that was having the delta waves or theta waves, those were amazing. The delta waves for me personally were just a game changer. And then I even got into like listening to books. Like as the book that I was reading, for example, like the first one that you helped me with was The Power of Now, and by Eckhart Tolle. And so I was reading it consciously, but at night I would play it in the background, and it really helped me sleep. He has a very calming voice, and but it was like I got to really understand it, and so subconsciously I was listening to it throughout the night, and so I actually felt really great the next day. And it was just, I'm not sure that would work for everyone, but it was just something that I thought, what do I have to lose? Why not give it a shot? And now, for example, that wouldn't necessarily work for me. I have to sleep with an eye mask and earplugs in. I need to have like that type of full sensory deprivation, because that really, really helps me with where I'm at right now in my life. And so it's just, we adjust. Like, it's not going to be the same. So just like we're saying, being willing to test different things and see what works for you and what doesn't, make notes of it and kind of optimize, if you will, what is your flow, and then be willing to not be stuck to it. Know that it's not like whatever it is, like your approach is not your identity. It's just an experience to help you understand who you are and how you want to show up in the world.
Yeah. I love it.
Yes, and that leads into pampering rituals. Yes, which can absolutely be a part of your evening flow. For us, and for me, it is a part of it, or throughout the day, or definitely on the weekends. Finding something that is part of your pampering self-care flow. This is where things like bubble bath do come into play. But maybe it's not just bubble baths. Maybe it's also Epsom salt, for example. To really, heal the body through the salts. I love the float tanks. That's something that really works for my body. So it's kind of like having an amazing, amazing bath, but it's like so full of salt that I'm floating, and it makes me feel weightless. It helps my back. I had a massive back injury. So it just keeps me feeling really, really good. And it detoxes the body. It feels fantastic. Red light therapy has been a game changer for us. That's like something we do pretty consistently. Even cryotherapy was something I really, really enjoy as well. So even whether it's cold therapy or, there's so many different types of things that can help. But it could be as simple as just having, a ritual or a pampering ritual of like, okay, every day I'm going to have my favorite tea. And it's like, I'm going to do that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to break up my day. And it's just something I'm going to have for me because it's something that just settles my body and makes me feel balanced and connected. And I just love that warmth as it flows down, into my body. And it just like the taste of it and the connection. I feel like I'm getting a hug right now. I feel loved. And it's just like, that's something that a hot tea can make you feel. And it's like, wow, why not gift that self to you, gift that to yourself. Like, so there's more than one way to make a pampering approach or a pampering ritual.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up like something that can be as quick as tea, because we don't really think about that as a pampering, but it can be, especially when you add in the sensory aspect of that. If you just take the time to smell and to feel the warmth and then to savor the taste of that tea, that is a way to pamper yourself and to engage that meditation that we talked about in the beginning, that number 1. So you're doing 2 things that really help you with self-care. And it's like 5 minutes out of your day. And you've triggered 2 of these items on your list. And we can do that at least a few times a week, right?
Yeah.
So that's, to me, a beautiful experience. And it shows us that we're worthy of being pampered. We're worthy of taking time for ourselves. And again, talk about silencing the inner critic. For those times, that critic has no place in our life. So we're to number 9. And number 9 is all about learning. When we allow ourselves to continue to be a student of life, it opens us up to understanding the value of life itself. And that is it's such a self-care process. Because to care for ourselves is to understand that life itself, this amazing adventure that we're on, is all about learning. Every moment. Whether it's learning what we like, learning what we don't like, learning how to care for ourselves, learning that the action we're taking isn't very caring to ourselves or to another. We're constantly learning if we take the time to observe the learning that's available to us. And so find something that you desire to learn about and incorporate it into your week. Maybe it is you desire to take a class. And so once a week, you're going to take a class. Maybe it's that you desire to learn that creative aspect of yourself. So again, you're getting a twofer. Yay, twofers. And so you take a time to go inside, and you're not going to take a class. You're just going to do creative exploration and learn from within you what's coming out. And that's beautiful in and of itself. So there's all these different ways to learn, but consistently utilize learning as part of your flow during your week, at least a few minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, it keeps you sharp. There's no age limit to learning, at least as we get older. Maybe not all young ones to a certain degree. I don't know. Just different type of learning. Let's just call it that. But yeah, I mean, there's there's so many amazing things out there, and who knows what we could actually be interested in that we never could have imagined. I know that I'm doing things now that I never could have imagined, and it's just like it's so interesting and exciting, and there's so many different mediums of learning, whether it's books or podcasts or there's great TV shows now that are all dedicated to learning. So if for me, television is a way to relax. It's kind of like a way to pamper myself. And then when we put something that is really interesting and we can learn from something on television, it's like, oh, awesome. Then I get to explore and grow and learn in a way. Like, if we watch a show about volcanoes or something, it's like, okay, I probably wouldn't get that close to a volcano, but that's super interesting. Like I'm from the comfort of my own of the couch.
I'm safe.
Like
I'm safe.
but like I get to see like, whoa, like that's crazy that all those volcanoes are just going crazy. There's lava going everywhere, and then you get to learn about these volcanoes that are part of Earth for I don't know, millions of years or something. It's just like, that's like, I never would have thought about that. And it's not a topic that I would have even realized that I was interested in. And then there we go. I'm learning something. And so there's so much that we can do with it. And, if you're unsure at this moment where to even start, we have 9 great topics that we're just talking about, on top of this one that you could dive into. So there's nine areas of learning that you could really explore just from this podcast alone, let alone the literally millions of podcasts and YouTube videos and books out there that are just so many amazing people who are sharing really cool stuff out there.
Yeah. Agreed. Keep learning. Keep learning.
Yes.
Well, let's wrap this up. What's number 10?
Yes. Laughter and play. And this is an awesome one. It's one that you and I talk about all the time.
And do all the time.
Yes. Laughter and play. And there's so much, we can get into the science of it. Those who laugh more, like just the quality of life. There's some, like, just even Google how laughter changes your just life quality.
And brain chemistry.
And all. It's amazing. There's a reason why it feels good to laugh and feels good to play. Like, that's fun. And it's hard, especially as you get older. That's definitely something I'm kind of been experiencing, because like play when you're 5 years old or 10 years old is different than when you're 34 or 70 or something. But just because it's different doesn't mean that, I don't have to go into a sandbox to go play. There's different types of play.
But we can.
Yes, we can. There's nothing stopping me. But play for me is a little bit different now, but it's still fun and engaging and making ourselves, like, this is play for me right now. Like, this is fun. It's getting to talk to the person I love the most in this world and feel connected to and share things that I'm super passionate about. That's play. And like, I get to do that in life every single day. That's amazing. I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like that's there, and we can choose that. And maybe it's a wonderful hobby like that. That's just a way to go about it. Maybe it's, listening to, I love stand-up comics, like going and seeing a stand-up comic or watching a funny movie, or there's so many fun ways to engage into play. But I feel like the thing that you do the best, that you shared with me, especially as I'm growing older, is recognizing that there is no age to having childlike wonder, and being able to bring that in to, like, what a beautiful experience. What a way to view life. It's not being childish. That's different. We still have responsibilities as we are older and adults and all that, but bringing childlike wonder into the way that we approach life, like, that's so much fun.
And it's amazing how people respond to it.
Yeah.
We notice that when we walk into a situation and we respond with childlike wonder, like, oh wow, this is so amazing. Everyone is like, it is? Oh, wow, it is amazing. Yeah. And suddenly everyone is in like childlike wonder with us. And then they pick up on the fact that we do it pretty consistently, right? Yes. Like, it is just kind of how we are, who we are.
Like when we were in that art museum in St. Petersburg in Russia, and it was like so dead quiet, and then we just started just laughing and having fun, and just like, oh my gosh, like this painting is so beautiful, or this piece of art, or this like amazing. And then all of a sudden, like it just kind of started to spread, and then everyone was just like smiling and laughing and enjoying and being connected. They were with their they were holding their family, they were like looking at the art and like smiling, and it just completely changed the atmosphere. And like it's infectious. There's a reason why that's like we naturally gravitate towards that, because it is fun. Like why wouldn't we want to have fun? And so yeah, if you can be that and breathe that love and that play and that laughter into a situation, watch the whole thing shift, and just see how it just feels light and love, and it's just amazing.
It really, really is. And like those people didn't know us at all. And, you know, they look at you a little different for a moment, and then they're just like, huh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. It's okay.
Yes. Have you ever seen those videos where it's like someone starts dancing on a beach, and they're dancing and everyone's kind of like, why is that person doing that? And then after a couple minutes, then maybe one person joins, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's, you know, and then before you know it, within, you know, seconds after that, it almost feels like the whole beach is everyone's dancing and fun and having a good time. There's not even music. Yeah. Like it's just like, that's fun, cool. Like that it's just, that is a natural state that we desire, that's so heartfelt and connected, and it makes us feel like our humanity. It makes us feel like that childlike wonder becomes an aspect of who we are, and we get to see the world in a whole different way.
Yeah. And you know, it's okay if you're not the person who's going to go dance on the beach, yes, or show childlike wonder in an art museum. But find a way to have laughter and play in your way, because it will transform your self-care. It will truly light you up from the inside. And because we get so busy and so bogged down, you know, these 10 things, really pick one. And if laughter and play is your one, find a way at least once a week to have some great laughter and play, however that fits for you.
Absolutely. And if it's not one of these 10, I really hope that it inspires something else. Like maybe just one of these on the list inspires something new that you've never even thought about, and it's just a new way to approach life. And so this is just a framework. You know, be fun, be creative, explore, get to know yourself through this process, and really seek to understand at a deeper level all aspects of who you are. Uncover the very potential that you have awaiting to expand and share with this world.
We are so grateful that you are here with us as we are taking this journey through the Heart Leader podcast, where our heart and our mind are aligning. I am your host, Amber, and I am here with Austin, and we are discussing aspects of our book that is coming out soon called Silence Your Inner Critic. If you are interested in learning more about this book, you can head on over to silenceyourinnercritic.com, where you can pre-register and get 20% off when it does launch. And just for doing that, we're going to make sure that you get access to one of our best-selling courses. It is the Mirror Technique Workshop, and it will be absolutely free. So hop on over there and check that out. You'll get all of the details. Again, that's silenceyourinnercritic.com. We'll make sure all the details are below to make it super easy wherever you're listening to this or watching. We would also like to ask that if we're making content that is meaningful for you and that helps you, then just click that subscribe button right now. It really helps us know that we're making an impact, more than we can possibly say. Until next time, we look forward to reading your comments and seeing you in the community.